What's up, suckers? I am back with a video that was highly requested because I'd mentioned recently that my ADHD-friendly routine has changed, and so understandably a lot of people wanted to see what that looked like. I am happy to show you. I'm excited to show you, actually. Before I get started, just a few things that I need to get out of the way. Apparently, since I'm doing this YouTube thing now, I am supposed to tell you that if this video helps you or serves you in any particular way, please be sure to like and subscribe, because I want to make sure that plenty of people get help from me if I can help. Second off, I just wanted to give a few caveats. The first being that I am medicated. Some people don't care, some people do, but I want to make sure that if you care, you know. The second thing that I wanted to bring up is if you decide to use any of the software that I mentioned today, you're going to probably run into a referral link from me. There's only one that is not a referral link, the rest are. Just to be upfront, I don't mind if you don't use them, that's not the point, but I always want to make sure that people know. And the third thing, on a more personal note, ironically, if you look at my stuff, it's probably going to look kind of wild and crazy right now, and I just want to apologize in advance for that. The whole reason that that is happening is because despite me being in my 30s and having not made out with anyone except for my husband for the past 8 years, somehow I contracted mono. And not only did that mono knock me on my ass for 2 months, but it also left me with chronic fatigue. So there is a lot more reallocating of days to accommodate my energy and my mental energy, and so I just wanted to let you guys know that it's not usually this crazy, but that things are kind of needing to get moved around. This is also a really good lesson in the fact that no matter how good you are at planning, no matter how productive you are, shit happens, and things get messed up. And the best thing that you can do is not hate on yourself for it, not freak out, but try to do the best you can in moving forward, which is what I'm doing. So, but just so you know, no matter how good you are at planning these kinds of things, you're never going to be good enough, I think, to make allowances for the fact that you have been sick for 6 to 8 weeks. Those of you who don't know who I am Ariana Bradford, as I mentioned, and I started out as a mommy blogger type influencer, and things have just kind of continued to keep rolling in a very different direction from that. As of May of 2021, I found out that I had ADHD, and it's really just kind of changed the way that I look at things. And I've realized that a lot of us out there aren't being accommodated or understood by the productivity world because there are a lot of brains out there that just can't just do it. And so I have decided that I would really love to help people with that, because that is what I do. I love efficiency. I love digital workflows and regular workflows and making it so that life is a little bit easier and being productive. And I think that I've gotten really good at it, seeing as I'm constantly doing something. So I just wanted to make sure that I helped brains like mine. And so I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to help you. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. I am first going to show you my workflow, which is how I handle, my everyday work situation, and then I'm going to show you how I handle my daily personal processes. So let's get started by introducing you guys to my players in my work routine. So firstly, what you guys are looking at here is Shift. It is the software that I am the happiest that I found in the last year. Shift is designed to make it so that people who have to be in multiple places at once or multiple apps can do so in one easy to reach workspace, and that it does it beautifully. There is a cheaper version called Mailbird, but at the time of me shooting this video, they do not have a Mac version. And from what I saw, their app library is just nowhere near as extensive. Shift, actually, I've only found like 1 or 2 apps that Shift does not connect to. So it is just so much easier for me to set up these little workspaces on the side to be able to access literally anything I need throughout my workday. So you're looking at my YouTube, obviously, me with my paltry little 41 subscribers, and you're able to see, you know, all of the social media I use, and then I have one for my consultancy that includes my calendar and everything I use in my consultancy. I have my emails, I have my website, I have my Canva, I have WhatsApp, which I use a lot here in Costa Rica. I even have Motion, which I haven't gotten rid of yet, but just you can use everything in Shift, and it is incredible. I honestly cannot remember the last time that I've wound up going down a rabbit hole while surfing the web, because you don't have to. I don't have to have a bunch of Chrome tabs open. I can just open Shift every day and get straight to work, which is amazing. You can search Google while you're here. It is not impossible. I absolutely would not say that you need to use Chrome to search things, but I will give you guys a warning that a couple of my complaints have to do with Shift's ability to work as a search engine. It allows Google, but if you click on a link within a page that's here, you won't be able to copy paste the link. And as a person who copy pastes all the time, that's a real pain in the ass. And then there are just some user interface issues that I run into every once in a while. Nothing that would make me change my mind about Shift, but just so you know, it is not always perfect. Nothing is. I still would highly suggest it. Shift is, they do have a free version, but the free version is nowhere near as extensive and useful, in my opinion, as the paid version. And the paid version, for what they offer, is beyond fair. It is $100 a year, and that's not even $9 a month. So, you know, that is something that if you can afford, I would highly, highly suggest. So then I also have Google Calendar. We all know Google Calendar. The only thing that I have changed is that I have tried to keep my color coding a little bit simpler, more because I didn't want to get obsessed with constantly changing colors and fixing things. I do sometimes like to change it according to the season, but more often than not now I try to keep it pretty simple, just because I don't want to get overtaken by how pretty things are, and then I just don't get anything done. And then up here I have ClickUp. If you have seen my old video, my other video, you will know that I adore ClickUp. It is, to me, the best project management tool that I have found, especially for brains like mine. Some people are gonna hate it. Ooh, I have a whole bunch of things that say they're overdue that are not, that I need to clear out, so I will after this video. But I just love everything about ClickUp. I love the different kinds of views you can have for different kinds of brains. You can look at a list, a calendar, you can have a board, a Gantt, a timeline, a table. Like, there are just so many different ways for you to look at things. And, you know, I'm able to just basically take every large-scale process or project that I have and put it in here and break it down into smaller and smaller tasks if I so need, so that I'm not looking at this one thing and running around with my head like falling off my shoulders wondering what to do next. It is incredible. And then best of all, you can link it with Google Calendar, which is right here, and you just press account, add account. Do not pick this one, pick this one where you sync your tasks to Google. Otherwise, you are going to have a ClickUp that looks even messier than mine does right now. And one other warning that I mentioned before, when you do this, make sure that whatever you put it into is going into its own calendar, because otherwise you wind up having this really annoying situation where if you decide that you no longer need the space or the folder, even if you erase it or remove it, Google Calendar will not remove the corresponding tasks. So you wind up having to go through and delete them all, which is a pain in the ass. So let's not do that. So now let's get into how all of these play into my process. So when I first get up, or not when I first get up, there has to be medicine and coffee involved. I come into ClickUp and I take a look at my everything tab. Now, it is not set up the way that I want it to quite yet, especially with a lot of the changes going on, but overall what I do is I pay attention to this day and this day only. Do I have anything due? Do I have anything that I'm supposed to be making today? What is my day going to look like? And as you can see today, I really actually don't have anything that's supposed to be happening today. I have some posts I need to do. I have a class that I am going to be teaching in March, so I need to get the curriculum set for that. I have to shoot and schedule some videos, but everything is a long-standing process, so there is no due date today. And I spend most of my time in this space, so I will go to my social media posts and just double check. And overall, same thing. I do have some videos coming up that I could shoot if I really wanted to, and I probably will, but if I didn't, at least I know that today is pretty much clear of any of that. So once I know what my day is gonna look like, I go into my Google Calendar and see what I have scheduled today. Don't really have anything scheduled today, so makes it nice and simple. And of course, you know how to set up events in Google Calendar, but let's take a look at my day before just to see what that looks like. So here, I set up to shower and brush teeth, which is a very important thing for people with ADHD to do, or any really sort of neurodivergent brain, but I'm speaking from an ADHD perspective. We struggle sometimes with finding the willpower to work on taking care of ourselves in those ways, brushing teeth, having showers. So it's always best to have that plugged in so that you know that you have the time set aside to do that. And then I had time to shoot videos. I made sure that I forced myself to snack. I did not put lunch in here, or yes, I did, actually, hooray. So you always want to make sure you put those in there as well, because if you don't do those things, you can get sick. If you don't eat, I put in school pickup, class planning. I put in a bunch of things for my day yesterday, and then I just kind of went through and worked through them. Now, I know that I used to have motion for this, and the reason why I stopped using it was twofold. The first being price, the second being that I really needed to have a more hands-on approach to my day. I realized that I really needed to have more responsibility when it came to moving things around, and I really also wanted to control how I was going to handle smaller parts of bigger projects. Like, for example, this planning of classes that I did yesterday. Initially, Motion would have read that as I didn't finish it, or it would have said that, I finished that chunk, but I still only have 3 days to do it, or something like that. And I really wanted to kind of have more control over how many days this was going to take me, how much time it was going to take me, how much time I spent. So it was a little bit better for me to just be forced to come back here and pay attention to what I have going on. And then at the end of every day, because actually around 1:45 to 2:45 I tend to get tired and I start feeling kind of weak and not well, and so I can usually make the choice to either try to push through or I won't, and I will just kind of call my day. And at that point, what I do is I take what I did not get to the day before, I just set it up. I don't have to set it up for a specific time yet. I just kind of set it up for the following day. And then I go in here to edit the event and I add a star so that I know that that is going to be something I prioritize for the next day. Now, obviously, if this is not something that is pressing or pushing me, I don't have to do that, but that is something that I will do if I know that, man, I really wanted to get to that today, I didn't, so I'm working on that first tomorrow. And, that does tend to help, because sometimes, especially with minds like ours, if we just automatically tell ourselves that we have a deadline or that something is going to happen, sometimes getting ourselves ready mentally to attack something makes it so that we are more willing to get it done. So that is how I handle that. And then what I also tend to do is, if it, again, is not something that's important, I just leave it and try to think about how it will fit into my day the following day. One other thing that I want to point out to everyone is that some people will suggest that you do this every week and you plan your week, and that does not work for me personally for a couple of reasons. For one, like I said, my energy and what I can do tends to change every day. And so trying to plan ahead just kind of feels like I'm setting myself up for failure unless it's something that I really need to do, like an appointment or, a job or something that actually needs to get done that day. So that's the first thing. And the second reason being that I know that for a lot of brains like mine, looking at everything all at once can be overwhelming, and sometimes that makes it so that you just feel tired and don't feel up to doing everything just because it's overwhelming. And I didn't want to do that to myself, so I have found that controlling my day to day by just going in and planning my day, just the day itself ahead, tends to make me feel much less overwhelmed, much more in control, and it kind of makes things feel much more satisfying. So that is what I do with my work. Now let me show you how I handle my day to day when I don't have anything urgent going on. So here we are, back staring at my mug, and we're gonna talk about what I do if I have a day where I have a lot of stuff to do, but they're all little things, nothing is urgent, and most of them are personal. When that happens, I have found, and I think that this is true for many of us, that we sometimes wind up not getting any of it done due to what I believe is called choice paralysis. And that comes from the fact that we struggle with prioritization. And obviously there are many, many, many ways that we can prioritize things. We can write them down, we can do to-do lists, we can do the top 3 things. But what I have found works best for me is really thanks to something that I found in an ad while I was playing on my phone once. And it is called the Procrastination-Busting Kit, and it is made by Far From Avocados. So the Procrastination-Busting Kit looks like, it's just a Google sheet, but I literally would never be able to make this on my own, even if you left me in a room for a year. Like, I am just blown away by how ever they coded this thing. And basically how it works is, first you start out by looking at your mood modes, and I'll give you a chance to, read that on your own if you decide to go with this, but essentially what it does is it has you decide, according to how things work for you, whether something is a quick physical win, like it takes a lot of physical work or a little bit of physical energy, but not a lot of mental work, or a little bit of mental energy, but not a lot of physical work. It's not going to be creative or highly focused, but it is going to take some time, or it's going to involve a lot of focus, or you're going to have to use everything you've got. And you can name them whatever you want, you can map them however you want. I just kept the original. And then you go to this to-do list here, and you put everything in there. And I actually filled this out before, so we'll just use what I have from before. And I'm not going on a road trip or anything like that. I think I may have planned to fill this out for you guys because I knew I was going to be doing this. And what you do is you just fill everything out, you enter what mood it is, you put your status, and then this is where the important stuff comes in. First, you're going to just mention how much you dread doing these things. And it could be, for example, I have this set at medium because I hate messaging people sometimes. It makes me feel a little nervous. I love Lori. She's an amazing person, by the way, so this has nothing to do with her. But, maybe I'm like, I'm going to have to talk to people today, and I'm feeling kind of introverted, and I don't want to do that. And I hate doing dishes, so gross. And then, I'm going to enter what the size of the task is to make sure that I indicate how long it's going to take me. And then this is where this thing shines. You go to the Decision Maker version 2, and what it does is it then makes you go even further into the prioritization process. you're going to indicate how much you want to do things, how much you should do them, how time consuming they are, and then it assigns a weight to each thing. And then you can come up here and you can decide to either say, I want to be told what I want to do, what I should do, an easy option, an ambitious option, a totally random selection, so on and so forth. I always have it on to be told what I should do. And then based off the weights, based off of those prioritizations of how much I should versus how much I want versus how time consuming it is, this decision maker tells me right off the bat, hey, you need to go do this first. And then I say, okay, cool, thank you. And I go off and I do it. And then I come back and click exclude. And then it tells me the next thing. And it literally goes off of some algorithm that I don't 100% understand. But what it does is it tries to give you an even number of easy wins and hard wins. And it really just kind of helps in a big way to not only have things prioritized, but to also have it helping you feel like you're being productive enough that the very next thing is not as much of a difficult step to take. And, it also just sometimes helps, I think, for most of us, to be able to just follow a direction rather than being told that we have to figure out what the next direction is. Like, it's a lot easier, I think, some days for someone to just say, hey, you need to go do dishes right now, than it is for us to sit here and say, well, should I do the dishes or brush the cat or should I call the hardware store? So it kind of removes that guesswork, and I have annihilated so many to-do lists with this, you guys. Like, I'm not saying that you're going to every time, but I have gotten so much more done with this on days like that than I have with anything else. So I highly recommend it. It's only $37. The link's in the description. I really think that you should go for it. And yeah, that's what I do on days like that. I just try to finish as much as I can. If there's anything that I haven't finished, if it is a priority, if it's really important, I'll make sure that I put it on my calendar, as I already showed you, with a star to make sure that I have set it up as a priority for the next day. The only thing that I will say about this that I want to bring up is I would not use this for project management, only because even though it allows subtasks and brain dumps, it doesn't allow you to keep track of the stages very well. And if you have a subtask that is going to take you a couple of days to do, this does not really allow you to indicate that. And so sometimes if you aren't able to list it as done, you could have a feeling of dissatisfaction when you realize that it is still unchecked, even if it wasn't supposed to be done necessarily today. So I wouldn't suggest that, but otherwise, I think that this is just an amazing tool, and I would highly, highly suggest it. So there you guys have it, and I hope that this helped. If you have any questions whatsoever, please go ahead and drop them into the comments. And as I mentioned, if this helps, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.